Okay, everybody, in the interest of time, we're going to get started. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Welcome to Project Vision. This is an extension of the Rutland City Police Department Outreach Division and a space to learn, connect, and share. I am one of your co-chairs, Catherine Carter, and I am grateful to see so many of your smiling faces here this month as we're celebrating the month of love. I hope that many of you saw some Valentines out on the Facebook page. More to come. We definitely have a packed agenda today, full of introductions, so we would like to start off with new visitors. So if this is your first time attending and you're comfortable, please stand up and we'll come with a mic so that PEG TV can capture it and say your name and title. That's completely okay too. I like to throw in that comfortable because I recognize that can be a lot to go on YouTube. And we also have a few other folks standing up here with us. So next we will move in to welcoming Rich Eckroat. He is going to be our new co-chair. Please give him a warm welcome.
Say my name right. Can you hold this one?
Yes, I'll hold it.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, so I have to do how long do I have for my introduction?
Oh,
We have a lot to talk
Yeah.
about, so I'll keep it quick.
5:10.
5 it is. I also want to point out that as my first act for co-chair, I brought 21 pizzas in a really small car, so successful. So for those of you that don't know me, and I see a lot of familiar faces in the room, my name is Rich Eckroat. I'm the district manager of Rutland Probation and Parole. Please don't hold that against me. It's Department of Corrections. I am also the chair of the Rutland Situation Table, so if you're not aware of what the Rutland Situation Table is, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do sort of monthly updates for all of you and just talk about some of the statistics, some of the things that we've done, some good stories coming out of the Situation Table. So how did I end up here? I'll give you my 5-minute history. I am a Castleton College graduate. We have Castleton students over here. Yep, right? Great on. As I'm sure many of us are. Coming out of college, was not sure if I wanted to go into law enforcement, knew I wasn't quite ready for that, landed in corrections, knew that working in the incarcerated setting was really not for me, so I set my sights on getting into the community at Probation and Parole, which I did after about a year and a half. And since that time, this was almost 20 years ago, I've worked my way through the ranks as a community correctional officer, a probation officer, a supervisor. And I'm now the district manager of Rutland Probation and Parole. I have been for the last 8 years. It's a job I enjoy a lot. It's a stressful job, as many of you can imagine. What else do I have? Situation Table. I am also an instructor of criminal justice at Vermont State University at Castleton. So I teach, depending on the semester, I can teach a class called Correctional Philosophies and Practices. I teach a class called Community-Based Corrections, which is occurring this semester, and I've taught courses on the death penalty in the past as well. So I will say that on a personal note, I live nearby in Proctor. I have 3 boys, which is, if I ever come in looking really exhausted, that's why. Was hoping for girls, ended up with boys. It's not good. And I'm really excited to be here, to be part of this collaboration, to be asked to be part of this collaboration. My role in the Situation Table has just been outstanding for me on an intrinsic level. I just feel so good about the work that we're doing and the work that the group is doing. And the same thing goes for Project Vision, although you have not seen me at all of these meetings. I've been in the background in various ways throughout the years. So thank you for letting me co-chair Project Vision, and I hope I don't let you all down. So thank you. And I'm already knocking stuff over. There we go. No, I'll take that back.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I did hand out the agenda, so if it's all right, I will make sure that the presentation stays up if the agenda is all right staying down. So next, what we do have is we get to welcome, as I'm sure you got to see on Facebook, the Rutland City Police Department announced that Matt Prouty has been named as the chief. We would now like to welcome him, give him a warm welcome and a round of applause. He'll be sharing some remarks.
So I used to joke when I would cover for Chief Kilcullen that the chief never looked so good, right? Now it's not quite as funny, but so anyway, hey, listen, this has been a whirlwind. The burden is heavy right now. We're thinking a lot about it, internally at the station, all the things that are happening in the world and in our community. But I wanted to share you the 3 things that I'm focused on. Number 1, recruiting. You can't do a lot of stuff without a lot of people, and we're short people, so we are hiring. Number 2 is decision making without data is problematic. So most of you know that Nate did get activated. He is part of the Vermont Air National Guard, and he is currently on deployment, and we've been without his services. So we are going to be contracting with a crime research group out of Northfield, and they will be helping us with an analytical product that we can look at based off of data pulled from our computer-aided dispatch record management system, and that allows the supervisors to make informed decisions and the command staff on how we deploy resources. And the third is probably the most important, and that is working on our debrief/critical incident response. My staff have been through a lot over the last 7 years, and it's heavy stuff. And sometimes the responders aren't the best at taking care of themselves. So we want to have a renewed focus internally on how we respond internally to our incidents, how we learn from them, how we debrief, put it into a standard operating procedure, also on a clinically led peer support initiative. So we do have a clinical psychiatrist on retainer for the police department, and I would like them to oversee a peer-led group within the PD just to help us process all of these pretty heavy things that we deal with all the time. You know, sometimes whether it's military or it's in law enforcement or other similar type jobs, we forget that we see a lot of things, we're involved in a lot of things, and those things are accumulative, right? But if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not going to be able to properly take care of the community. So that's a focus for me. And then there's 100 million other things, but those are going to be the priority right now. That's pretty much all I have, other than thanks for having me. Thanks for coming. I was hoping that the mayor would be here today as he's getting ready to transition out, but he couldn't make it. So again, thank you. Packed agenda. I got some of my rock stars here today, so stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Doesn't that sound good? I like that. Next, we will be moving into general updates. Since we are so lucky to have Rich, we would like him to start doing regular situation table updates. So now would be a great time for him to step in and do that, and then we'll move into our general announcements.
Okay, so this is going to be just more or less stats this month. But I promise that next month I'll come with a little bit more information for the group so you can be aware of what we're actually doing at the situation table. So since we started operating in March of last year, we have handled 59 situations. And that is a combination of individuals and families, totaling 80 individuals, 80 people supported to date through the situation table. Now remember, if you know anything about the situation table, it's for people who are in acutely elevated risk. Their next step is something bad, whether it's an overdose, it's a death, it's something serious. So we've taken 80 people away from that edge. Generally takes us about 28 days on average from beginning to end to close a case. However, some situations are closed in 1 week or days because of the phenomenal work that the people at the table do. The average number of risk factors that we're seeing per situation would be 9. We're seeing 9 risk factors per situation. And the top 3 risk factors: housing, mental health, basic needs. Inability to make basic needs is sort of across the board. These are the top 3 risk factors that we're seeing weekly at the situation table. And we currently are operating with 3 open situations, all of which have only been open for a couple of weeks. So We continue to meet every Wednesday. In February, the meeting is at Rutland P&P, my office. In March, we'll move back to the PD and back at Rutland P&P in April. The group, just so everyone is aware, generally we have 18 to 25 individuals at this meeting, at the situation table, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, which for all of us who have a lot of meetings, to have a weekly meeting that is that well attended is pretty phenomenal. I think that speaks to the work that's getting done and how we're doing it. So I will come next month with another update, statistics, but also some anecdotal stories so you can really hear how we're helping the people in the community. Yes, question, Pat. So one of the interesting things about our top 3 needs nationally, it's kind of the same thing everywhere you go. The situation table is not just in Vermont, it's across the country. So pretty much all situation tables across the country are seeing that these are the top 3 needs: housing, mental health supports, and inability to really meet your basic needs. So obviously we notice that these are, I don't want to call them gaps, but these are missing pieces in our system. More, we all know this: more housing, longer stays at mental health beds, and things like that. So yeah, the situation table has done a great job of sort of opening up our eyes to the depth of the situations in our community. Right now we're working with the Department of Health to try and take some of the de-identified information that we have and produce some statistics to help us learn more about exactly how that's working. Yeah, thanks, Patty. Anybody else? All right, very good.
Thank you very much for that question. We appreciate it. So next, we invite anybody from the audience that has an announcement that they would like to share. You can come right on up, go in front of the mic, and these can be any events or programs that you would like to promote that are coming out from your agencies or organizations.
Hi guys. Oh, this is up high. I'm a short person, sorry. I'm Ava Ebbinghausen. I'm from the Rutland County Parent-Child Center. And I just want to let everybody know we are actively advertising for our 3rd annual 5K. We're doing that in partnership with the Rutland City Police Department and the Child First Advocacy Center. If you're interested in signing up, I have flyers. And if you're interested in sponsoring, I also have flyers for that. So come talk to me if that's something you're interested in.
Oh, yes, please, Tom.
I have some good news to share. So we have our crisis fuel program at Brock Community Action. It's in full swing. I have 3 very capable staff that are doing this as we speak to provide, and some of it is sort of housing retention, and that it helps people stay in their homes if they can afford to. But we know with the cost of rents going up and food and other things that are pressuring them, medications, that sometimes the fuel is the problem. So our crisis fuel program, which we administer for the state of Vermont, is in full swing. We've provided about, at this stage of the season, about $200,000 so far in crisis fuel assistance. The good news is today also is that some people actually need a second assist. So there's a program for that called ACE, they call it, Additional Crisis Expenditure. And today we are awarded another $35,000 for that additional assist. So we're very excited about that, yeah. And I just want to remind people about that program, because the one thing we don't want in Vermont and in Rutland County is our people living in the cold. And a lot of times, I don't mind saying that our elderly population here sometimes hesitates to call us. It's just one of those things that's generational, and the pride and so forth. But we want those folks especially to reach out to us. It's a very respectful, dignified process. Everyone's treated with care, and we get the issue resolved typically same day. The other part of that program is our emergency heating assistance program for equipment. So if the furnace goes down or their tank's red tanked, we have a program to actually replace those. And last year we did $250,000 in those programs for Rutland County. So we're very happy to be there that's the true crisis in Vermont, especially with the way the weather's been recently. And in closing, I just wanted to say, because I missed the opportunity at the beginning, to introduce Zach Ransom, because he's a first-timer, but he's actually our finance director for Brock Community Action, and he's the one who processes all those crisis fuel requests. So thank you, Zach. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom, and welcome, Zach. Yes, please feel free. And feel free to come up and form a line.
I'm Mariah Davis, and I have been part of this community most of my life. I get emotional, and I cry, and I apologize for that. But that's how deeply I love this community. This is my son. He's 11 years old. A couple of years ago, he wanted to meet a police officer, and they weren't doing the meets and greets that month. And I called Officer Prouty, and he came for my son that day. And that is something that he's going to remember for the rest of his life. And that is the source of the love that I feel in this community when we bond together and we get to know each other. And we realize that there's more than the behaviors we see outside. I wrote something and I'd like to share it. Back in 2021, I tried to start something. And for personal reasons, I had to get done. My boy, he loves the police, he admires them, and hopes for their safety against bad guys. He helps peers engage in activities with kind words and concern for their feeling included. According to his IEP team, his struggle is less about staying focused on his work due to ADHD and more because he makes sure everyone is able to understand, to focus. He's a negotiator with the goal of feelings of fairness. He reminds me not to be harder on myself than I should be, because I and others who love him are instilling healthy love for himself by directing him away from negative self-talk. He is not perfect, and he still does his job acting his age. But he is learning a healthy understanding of karma and accountability, regardless of getting caught. If he one day lost all of his family, would you take him in? Or try helping to find him a new safe home? If yes, then yes should be the answer to anyone in a vulnerable situation. Age, gender, citizenship, or size of a bank account are not reasons to stop being accountable for the value of life. If your answer is no, then you're not willfully participating as a citizen. You have self-indulgent purposes. Anyone living in this city is accountable. We work together or eventually suffer alone. Neighbors need to become neighbors again. In 2021, many of us tried to grow Neighbors Helping Neighbors gatherings for our community support. 2 buildings on Baxter Street were highly and openly trafficking drugs in our driveways and our kids' parks. Those buildings were raided and trafficked girls were saved because we worked together, keeping the attention on the situation. How many are being trafficked today because we're not working together? It's a fair question. and it feels like it's deliberately not being seen. When will those seated in representative seats claiming equality of constitutional rights to everyone going to start a system of meeting every week all over town? Bad people can't get away with bad things when large groups of people could possibly be around.
Thank you, Mariah. Many themes came up in that I think are really appropriate for the conversation. I'm actually a little taller than you. Very appropriate for the conversations we're going to be having today. So many months ago, when I joined as co-chair, we wanted to revitalize how this time was being spent so that it works for everybody and it's not just an hour that you have to take out of your day to come to a new location. So we wanted to start highlighting some vision in action, some work that you guys are doing every single day that's in the community to show that's the true heart of Vision and the outreach team. So we did a few in the past. We were able to highlight the situation table, the outreach care team, what housing resources look like. And this month we're focusing on community safety. I wanted to provide you a definition of community safety by the UN, and that is a process that aims to make urban environments safe, inclusive, and resilient by addressing the multi-causal factors of violence, crime, and insecurity on harmed communities. That is a very broad definition. I think it's broad for a purpose because it fits into many molds like health does. So when we wanted to talk about community safety, it was brought up to the committee chairs, and the Community Policing Committee suggested highlighting the Rutland City Bike Patrol Initiative. I felt that was genius. I love this initiative. I think it's great what they're able to accomplish in this past year, and I'm looking forward to see what they can do in the upcoming year. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Commander Eric Morgano and Officer Tim Rice. I will get their presentation up.
Hello, Sergeant Morgano, Rutland City Police, not Commander. Thank you for the promotion. Just in response to the chief over here, Commander never looked this good. So also with me is Commander Whitehead. He's the Patrol Division Commander. So Corporal Rice, I'm Sergeant Morgano. I work for the Community Response Team. I supervise Sequoia and Taylor, the CRSs, the Animal Control Officer, the School Resource Officer, and Nate Thibodeau, who's our crime analyst, who is currently overseas, and he is missed deeply. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from Long Island. I moved up here. My wife's from here. Like Rich, I started at the jail. I also quickly learned being stuck in a facility was not the life for me. I transitioned over to the police department about 11 years ago, and I've been there since. I've had the opportunity to work as a detective, a patrolman, narcotics, great career. I'm also the recruitment sergeant, so if you have anyone out there that's interested in this career, call me. We have some spots available, and it's a great place to work. I will demonstrate why with the bike unit specifically, but the two people I asked to be here with me today, Commander Whitehead and Corporal Rice, are the ones that helped me get this program going. So I'll let them introduce themselves and give you guys a little picture of what it looks like to do this job. Thank you. I don't know if that works, so good luck. Does it work? Can you guys hear him?
All right.
No?
Worked that time. So as Eric said, my name's Tim Rice. I'm a corporal with the Rutland City Police Department, currently assigned to the Patrol Division. I have a very proactive group of guys on day shift 1. A lot of you have been seeing them around town. Like I said, they're very proactive, always out there. And actually all of my shift, except one, is bike patrol certified, so we put it to good use. Like Eric, I am not from Vermont. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I did 5.5 years with Baltimore County Police Department before deciding that I didn't really want to do this in Baltimore anymore. It was fun, but it wasn't a place to raise a family. And my wife and I started looking at places that we did want to raise a family, and Vermont was one of the safest places and coolest places. We came up to ski a lot, so we're in the community in Vermont, and we're like, well, we can live somewhere we want to ski. Vermont was actually supposed to be our retirement plan. We were going to retire to Vermont, So I'm here like 20 years early, but it ended up working out. So I do a lot with the bike patrol. I do a lot with skiing as well. I've been skiing probably most of my adult life. My wife and I love the outdoors. I also do the Spartan races at Killington. Eric won't join me. I think he's a little scared of it, but no, he actually did it before I did it. But he hasn't done it with me recently. But that's a little bit about me. I did not go to Castleton University. I went to the York College, Pennsylvania, got a couple degrees there before moving up here. And yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Hi everyone, I am Chuck Whitehead. I'm a patrol commander of the Rutland City Police Department. Unlike these two, I was born in Rutland. I grew up in Rutland. And unlike these two, I will retire somewhere south at some point. But yeah, I run the patrol division. I also, this past spring, we did the bike school. And I'll tell you right now, I wasn't 100% committed to it. But after going through the bike school and seeing the benefits, which we'll talk about later, I'm 100% committed to it, and we're going to try to get as many officers as we can certified in the bike school so they can be out on bikes.
All right, so the patrol background, where it started, we looked, Tim and I do what happened to the other one?
He's got it. I thought you'd keep one over there, I'd keep one over here.
Tim and I do the social media for the Facebook page for the city police. Not solely us, but we did get to look through a bunch of records, and it seems like it started back in the 90s, before my time, but that's when some of these pictures are from. When I got hired in 2015, they sent a few of us to a bike school in Burlington. It was an IPMBA bike school, so that's International Police Mountain Bike Association. It's a national, believe it or not, very hard school to go through and pass. They offered it from the agency. Me and Detective Jax, Clementowski at the time, took the class and we started. I went from there for a few months. I did bike patrol and then transitioned into detectives where I wasn't able to do it anymore for obvious reasons. So the past probably, what do you think, Commander, 4 or 5 years, every time a IPMBA email came out, I would forward it to Commander Whitehead because he didn't believe that the bikes would work. So I would send it to him and say, hey, there's an instructor course. I can go to the course, take the course, and bring it back to the police department where I'll be able to train our people and we could use the bikes that we got. This is one of the original bikes that we bought when we started this program in 2015 and 16. So eventually he just said, you know what, yeah, you can do it. Who do you want to do it with? And Tim and I went over to Niagara Falls. We drove out to Niagara Falls and we did a class for a week, and it was just, I mean, you could speak to the class, but the day you got there, it was you have to take a test and get above a 90 or you go home. And they were serious about that. And you're thinking probably what I'm thinking, right? Riding a bicycle is riding a bicycle. It's nothing that, but they take it very serious, and the class was great. And we were able to then, from that program, put on a class where we got 10 of our people, well, there's 10 certified officers now to ride a bike, which is a great accomplishment for the program.
Eric talked about bicycle patrol a little bit. These are some pictures from our training that we had earlier in the spring. So we actually ended up getting 3 people in this 10-foot box here riding around each other. So it, like he said, it is probably one of the hardest schools that cops will go to. Sometimes you have these in-service trainings and, you know, they're pretty not fun. You're at a desk, you're getting death by PowerPoint. We actually had the guys out on bikes doing stuff. We only spent a couple hours doing PowerPoints and the safety things and such and so forth. The rest was riding a bike. I think we ended up doing probably 80 to 100 miles about in a week. And that's not a road bike. That is heavy. That is not a very comfortable seat either to be in that for 80 to 100 miles day in and day out. So yeah, it's a very, very hard course to do. Bicycle patrol just is exactly that. You're just a cop on a bike. There's not terribly much special about it. That's just a normal bike with, it says police on the side. The special thing on it is the officers that we train and the skills that they have. That's what makes it special. And it's just a different way of doing things. It's not the cop in the car driving around doing things. It's just a cop on a bicycle, a different mode of transportation. And you'll see in a couple slides here the different benefits and things, but it's not a crazy revolutionary idea. It's just a cop on a bike.
So when I started doing this program, we didn't have these little cameras that are attached to us that show everything we do, record 30 seconds before you turn them on, show everything that's going on around you for criminal cases. So what we used to do is we'd have the mountain bike on the back of a patrol car. We would drive to a location, take it off. We had a little body microphone that we would carry around where we went, but if we went outside of a certain proximity of the vehicle, it would no longer record us. So now where we're at is with these cameras, not only are they tracking where we are, they also will track all the interactions we have with people. They'll gather data for us. They'll show they'll show a lot of videos of me falling over the handlebars of the bike when I'm trying to do things that I probably shouldn't be doing. But that's a huge piece for safety for our people when they're out on the road. And surprisingly, we get into a lot of criminal investigations. And if you have just your word or your memory without the body camera, all the cases now we have, for the most part of our patrolmen, have a recording and a video to go along with what we're testifying to. So it's a huge help. So for the update of having the Axon body camera and what it looked like before, it's great for our program.
Sorry, just hold on 1 second so we can get a mic, because it's like TV. Yeah. And just if anybody has one, just hold on for a second.
I just wanted to ask if all the officers have that now, or just
The body camera?
Yeah.
All right, so all officers, for the most part, all officers have a body camera issued to them. All officers in uniform wear a body camera almost always, with some special circumstances that they wouldn't. But yeah, for the most part, all of us are wearing body cameras, and they're typically set to a ready mode, and that will record 30 seconds prior to anything that we encounter. So if you don't remember to turn it on, it will go back. And I think you guys can also go back further if you need to, if they're not actually activated.
And after your crash, and we'd make sure you're okay, and somebody clicks your camera to make sure we got the footage.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did send over some body cam footage, but it didn't make it through the program here, so you don't get to see me fall. No, I tried.
All right, so the benefits of having a bike unit, and again, these two I was very skeptical about it at first, but honestly, the positive feedback that we've gotten from the community has been extremely beneficial. It allows us to really, like I said earlier, I grew up in Rutland, and being on the bikes, I went places that I didn't even know existed in Rutland. On this bike with Eric leading us. And like they said, we did probably 20 miles a day each day for the training, so it was quite adventurous. So it allows us to just have that personal connection with the community out on the bikes. It's a natural conversation starter when we approach somebody. When you're on the bikes, they automatically want to talk to you about the bike and what we're doing with the program. So it's a great conversation starter. Obviously, like I said, we get into places that most cops probably wouldn't get out of their cars to go to if they can't drive there. So it allows us to get into, less traveled areas and give us the ability to patrol those certain spots. So that's definitely a bonus for our agency and the community as a whole. That's say about.
Specifically in that photo there is the transit center, and the amount of work that we were able to do in the transit center just being on bikes was phenomenal. We go all of the places that we just typically wouldn't go in with the vehicle. If any of you have spent time in the transit center, you notice the difference as of late. It's been cleaned up quite a bit. We're out there enforcing a lot of municipal codes and violations such as people jaywalking, the things that you think wouldn't matter that aren't typical law enforcement, but urinating in public, drinking in public. They don't see us coming, so they don't know that we're there. We are rolling up on a bike, we're quiet, and those little peace of mind things that business owners downtown have repeatedly complained about or asked us to enforce, we're able to do this with me personally. I have no
So like I mentioned before, the bikes allow us to go Commander Whitehead mentioned bikes allow us to go places that we're not able to go otherwise. Like Wonder Feet had a Halloween event where they had several thousand kids and parents downtown. We could not fit a patrol car downtown. It would not be safe. So when we saw how many people were there, we thought, all right, we're going to have calls for service. There's 5,000 people downtown. How do we police that? We're going to have missing kids. We're going to have disturbances. You're still going to have your thefts at the businesses or so forth. How do we police that? And real quick, we had to think, all right, Eric and I were at the event. We had our bikes there. As calls came in, we just responded to them on the bikes, and we beat the patrol guys there every single time, handled the call, and by the time the car got there, we're like, hey, we're good. And on like Center Street and Merchants Row, where the cars couldn't even get to because all the floats and stuff, him and I were just biking back and forth. Actually, I think this is on Center Street. This is me and Detective Jax. This is a different community event. But we're able to put those bikes in very dense areas, and part of the class is one of the techniques that you'll learn is basically how to bicycle in place, keep upright, because when you have hundreds of people around you, you can't really go that fast, but you gotta stay on your bike. You can't put your feet down. So we teach you how to basically just shimmy the handlebars back and forth and back and forth. They call it a track stand, so that way you can still be on your bike, but still be around a lot of people. It's also a lot cheaper, as I mentioned, than a car. Our Tahoes do not get the best gas mileage, but they have a lot of stuff in them. They're very heavy. They're great for going up a hill. So if you're downtown, you get a call at the end of Woodstock Avenue. You're either going to get a very good workout in going up West Street Hill, or you're going to have one of your buddies pick you up in one of the cars. So the cars, we still need them, but the bikes are a very good cost-effective way to sometimes mitigate the cost. Or if it's snowing or something like that, we don't want that many cars on the road. And you can take our bikes in the snow. We were at the Christmas tree lighting with the bikes. You can still have them out, even though it's cold.
And then one of my other roles with the police department is I do the employee wellness through Blue Cross Blue Shield. We were able to get a certain amount of funds every year for employee wellness. We spent a lot of time building a fitness center within our police department. But I mean, also this is one of those things that if you go to work and you actually are working out the whole time you're there, we all track what we do, and it's not uncommon to do 30 miles in a day of riding around. There are certain negatives with that. Most of us stink at the end of our shift because these are heavy and there's no breathing room. But with the obstacle course, with the employee wellness, when people, I told everyone this at the beginning of the class when we taught it, was people are going to yell the craziest things out the window to you. But one of them is typically, why did they take your car away? Right? Why are you not having, like, why did you not get a car? And I say, I'm getting paid to exercise right now. And we're preventing crime in doing that. And it's just like, for those that don't see it or think that bicycles are ridiculous, I thought the same thing. Commanders certainly thought the same thing. But it really does work, and it really does prevent what we're looking to prevent in our community. So I think that's it for that. Just some locations specifically that we were able to get to really quick on that when we leave the police department. Is everyone familiar with where it is? It's on Whale Street, right across from the plaza, if you're not. But Brock, for example, there's the cutover by Amtrak through Brock, and we can get down into the southwest sector faster than a car running with lights and sirens, which we all know that's a dangerous situation no matter what. But the plaza, downtown, farmers market, anything in the downtown sector for the most part, we're able to get there faster than a vehicle. And there are certain things that these are not, like bulletproof, but for the most part, we've had really great success. And then through that wellness fund, we were able to purchase an e-bike. So that cost to the city taxpayer $0. It is another course that Tim and I are going to have to take to be able to ride them, but we're looking forward to that, and that will extend that radius of where we can actually cover for the community. So
this second point here, we get to spend more time in neighborhoods. I used to work with a night shift. I actually just came day shift after 5 years. I would take the bike out at 2 in the morning and just get to know my patrol area. I'm not from here, so I had to learn it somehow, and being on the bike and knowing where every little nook and cranny is was great. And no one expects you to be on a bike at 2 in the morning. They see the headlights, and it's either a cop, a cabbie, or a criminal. That's all it's out 2 in the morning. So they're not expecting a bike, and you hear that rotation of the bike pedal. Nobody's really thinking, oh, that's a cop, until you're right up on them. but I was surprised at how quickly I learned the area, just being able to ride around on Baxter Street, on Crescent Street, the bike path at 2 in the morning, and once your eyes adjust, it's not too hard.
Yeah, and then for the prevention piece, I remember being on field training when I first started, and one of my field training officers, he said, you're not going to be able to solve proactive crime with your windows up. And in a bike, there are no windows up, right? Like, you're hearing everything. You see, they talk about the body cams when they sell these, that they only show you this, right? They're not showing what you're seeing peripherally around you, what you're hearing. Same concept on a bike. When you're in a car, your windows are up, or even if they're down, you're only really seeing what's in front of you, and you're concentrating on driving. Where this is a totally different experience. You are very out in the open, but you're also hearing everything going on. I think I might have skipped ahead and talked about our employee wellness already. Yeah.
Have you all seen our Facebook page and the bikes? Yeah. Every now and then I'll have someone say, well, when are you guys going to move on from the bikes? Well, the bikes are so popular. People love it. Even just coming in here today, wheeling a bike, someone stopped me, and I believe they said this was the best thing that we had done for the police department recently. And it is. It allows us to have so many different opportunities, so many people talk to us. When you're downtown at these events, you can barely get 100 feet without someone, hey, I want to talk to you. Because it just breaks that barrier, that interpersonal barrier of that car. Somebody's not going to call us, they're not going to come into the lobby, but they see a cop on a bike, they're like a magnet. Like, hey, you look approachable, you look talkable. So people love it. It goes on social media, it's a good vibe for the city, and we usually see a couple 100,000 views on some of these posts. That's not just Rutland, that's regionally. We're getting good positive PR. It's not costing the city taxpayer anything. We're getting recruitment out of that too. We're seeing people from different communities see our stuff because it's getting promoted on social media, and then they're contacting us saying, hey, I like what you guys are doing. I like the energy of your page. I like the content you're putting out there. I want to work for you guys. Also, this picture here is from when we were in Killington. So we get requests every now and then from other municipalities saying, hey, we see what you're doing with the bikes. We see the social media. We see everything. How can we get you guys here? Or how can we have our officers come through your course? The course that we actually had 2 Bennington Police Department officers come through our course because they wanted to take the bike program to Bennington because they saw what we were doing here and they wanted to mirror it. So this gives us an opportunity to have a relationship with other municipalities in the Vermont area and just share our experiences, share our stories, share our successes, where we can do better, and just collaborate. And it doesn't really cost the taxpayers anything. It's very fiscally responsible to just, you guys help us out, we help you out. It's a very good relationship. Like I mentioned, this picture is from Killington. So Killington Resort actually helped us out a lot with the school. They provided a lot of space and a lot of equipment and a couple teachers too for the mechanical portion. But we had that because we have that relationship with other municipalities. We're able to just call them up and say, hey, we're looking at having this. It's going to be on our PR. It's going to be on our social media. Can you guys help us out? They've been more than happy to.
Yeah, specifically in Pine Hill Park, if any of you spend any time riding up in there, that was very rarely, if ever, patrolled by police. And almost everyone you ride by is saying, thank you for being up here. As much as I didn't want to be up there when I saw the sign that there was bears in the woods. Like I said, I'm not from here. I don't want to run into a bear. So, but yeah, the Pine Hill Park, the whole trail network is phenomenal, and we get to ride that at work. So it's pretty amazing.
You also get to reach people who might be resource resistant. They might be trying to avoid the police cars, the people in cars, the clinicians, etc. But if you're on the bike path and we see something, we see a tent, we see someone who might need resources, we can then go back and tell our community resource specialist or Brock or other community partners, Veterans Outreach, say, hey, we found this guy. They're not connected at all, but here's where they are. Can you help them? And we can do follow-up. So sometimes people do try and get out of the light per se, but with the bikes, we're able to find them. Like, how many people do we find in Pine Hill Park or the bike path or back of Meadow Street Park that otherwise we wouldn't have known about?
So stabilizing a neighborhood, much like you spoke about on Baxter Street, we did a very similar thing on Meadow Street, where there's a few houses that are just causing the whole community to suffer. The families, the kids are afraid to go outside. That was not uncommon for us to hear that. And what we noticed was when we were there, none of this was happening. And like the chief said, if our staffing would allow it for us to be there all the time, we could be. We started moving to different tactics. We would be there with a marked vehicle, showing that we're present, and then we wouldn't be at times. We'd be in unmarked vehicles. So people always thought we were around, and the bikes allow us to do that as well. When we're not in a big marked up police car, we can still have an impact on the community, because the people that are doing harm are going to be thinking we're around, even if we're actually not there and we're on 3 different calls in 3 different parts of the city. They're going to have that in the back of their mind, like, man, I really don't have to just look out for a police car. I have to look out for everything. I have to look out for the bike path. I have to look out for people on bikes. I have to look out for unmarked cars. We shouldn't be doing this in this community. We're going to go somewhere else, or we're just not going to do the behavior. So we're really having good results with neighborhood stabilization. And the neighbors, for the most part, are thrilled about the efforts that. Yeah, so some challenges we face, obviously. I've tried to push riding the bike to Cumberland Farms. Not a good idea. They teach us that in the school. If you show up and you're exhausted, what good are you? So that's a learning curve, and it's different for every single person. Certainly downtown, where we've chiefs on the bike a lot, commanders on the bike a lot downtown, and you roll up next to a car and people are texting and driving constantly. So it's a concern for enforcement, but it's also a concern for our people on the bikes, because it's dangerous, right? Those lanes on Center Street, that is a bike lane to share with traffic, and a lot of times if someone's distracted, under the influence, right, anything like that, it's a very dangerous position to be, because you have no airbags, you're going to get hit. So we are actively enforcing our laws, but it's definitely a consideration for our officers. We've come into a fair amount of arrests where we have to call for another patrol unit to come transport the person. That's just the nature of the beast, right? You're going to be in places that you wouldn't have been, running into people on warrants, running into people committing crimes. You still have to process them. So at that point, you are taking 2 officers out of the call rotation, the officer on the bike, and then the officer that is going to have to process your prisoner and bring him back. And then just the equipment and cleaning. Tim is pretty well bike expert. He does a lot of work on the bikes. Cleaning is more for the hygiene of the people. Like I said, these vests are bad. Our uniforms are nice, but they do get sweaty. So you have to change everything constantly, and it's a challenge. Nothing that we're not going to overcome and figure out the best way to do it. I think, Tim, you could speak to the vest spacers that you have.
Yeah, so they make special products that try and help us out as much as they can. So I have one, actually I brought with me from Maryland. It's very hot down there. So we would have this little spacer that we would put in I don't have a vest on, so I'm just going to use you as an example. It fits underneath of this outer vest, and actually puts about an inch space, and it's just a vent to prevent the heat being transferred from your body into the vest, because that vest is not very, it has a very large insulating factor. So the heat that is in there stays in there. So this just puts a little gap of air in there. There's also a lot of statistics that show that cops who are more comfortable and not overheated, they use less force, they're able to communicate better. There's better positive outcomes to calls for service. So I find it very useful to have. I think we're looking at getting all the guys on bike patrol some version of it, as well as like some of the other specialized equipment that just makes them do their job easier, be able to be out on the bike longer. The e-bikes obviously will help as far as not getting worn out. But yeah, they do make a lot of specialized equipment. The cold weather gear too, when we were out there on the tree lighting, it was very cold and windy, but we're still out on bikes.
So our future plans for the unit, we're going to implement the e-bike class. Tim and I have to go to the instructor school, or probably just Tim will go to the instructor school and come back and certify us all to ride an e-bike. That'll just, like I said, expand the radius that we can use this program. We're going to use Nate to show us where the best times of day to implement the unit will be. So my schedule is pretty flexible. Tim, like most patrolmen that are certified to ride the bike, also have to respond to calls for service at the same time. Chief and I, Commander, we get a little bit of a go do what you want freedom in our schedule, so we get to pick when we want to do it, as long as it doesn't interfere with meetings or other things that we have scheduled. But hopefully moving forward, we'll be able to really use our officers that are certified for specific details in specific locations where we're saying, okay, we're finding Sequoia's getting called to to needles being found in a certain location. We'll be able to utilize that data when Nate comes back to really implement the bike unit the best. And then I'm just going to use it for recruitment. Like I said, I'm out there smiling. You'll see me riding the bike, but if you know anybody that wants to come get paid to ride a bicycle, this is the place to do it. There's not many places in Vermont like this that allow us to do this.
So that's a little bit about us, about the Bicycle Patrol team. It's definitely got reinvestment in the last year or so. As you've seen, there's a lot of benefits to it. There is also a lot of challenges physically, departmentally, staffing, et cetera, that we talked about. But at the end of the day, they're bikes, they're fun, they're good positive outreach, and we can use them in prevention as well, getting cops where we need them, in the neighborhoods, on the trails, to be able to help the community as much as we want. If you want the bike patrol somewhere, call the police department and say, hey, we're having a need here. That helps us a lot. You tell us, hey, this is the times. Like the folks on Meadow Street, they were telling us, hey, people are going back and buying drugs on the bike path. If they wouldn't have called, we wouldn't have known where to put those resources. We would have been in front of the house when we should have been the back. Call us. It generates a call for service. It helps us track the data. It helps us a lot. Don't be afraid to call us.
Yeah, and at the same time, if you have an event like the Christmas tree lighting, I think Downtown Partnership said, hey, we're going to have a bunch of people downtown. The farmers market, the No Kings protest on Main Street, those are all things we were able to justifiably implement the bike patrol to get a favorable outcome where everyone felt safe, the people on the road and the people that were at these events. So it's definitely something that we're going to keep utilizing. I know the chief's on board because he is certified and took the course. So other than that, does anyone have any questions for us?
They, like Al-Anon meetings and AA meetings, I have open meetings purposely so that people can come and look and see if it's either for them or for somebody that they love. And I was wondering if it's ever considered to go in normal clothing on like a day off to an open meeting to those programs to listen to things that they're going through and having a perspective from a different view by being among them.
I personally have never done that. I'm sure that other people within our ranks have or have had family members that are. I can only speak for myself that no, that's not something I have thought of, but it's a great idea. Yeah, thank you.
I was wondering if someone was to take or fiddle with the bikes, is there anything of concern that would be stored on or in them?
On the bicycle themselves? Yeah, so we don't keep any weapons, if that's what you're asking, on the bicycles. Some of our officers, me personally, I am a little reluctant to leave the bike anywhere. We typically will lock them whenever we leave them up, but these back bags here, they come off, so if there's ever anything that we need to go inside of a building, it's just 2 Velcro straps, they pop off, and this is just a regular bike. A lot of us use our handcuffs to lock them in a bind too. You can lock them to a lot of things with handcuffs. So if you ever see a bike locked with handcuffs, that's probably what it is.
There's nothing interesting in those bags.
Yeah.
You're going to get parking tickets, municipal tickets, some rubber gloves, Germex. You're not getting much. You did mention something about equipment. We do buy brakes that have what's called disc brakes. So it's like the brake when your car is around the disc rather than rim brakes. Rim brakes, you can just flip them up and suddenly you don't have brakes. So if you get called somewhere and you got to go somewhere quick and then you're going 15, 20 miles an hour down a hill or something, you realize you don't have brakes. That's unfortunate. So all of our bikes have either hydraulic or cable disc brakes.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One is that this, back in the day, the Beat Cop, this just takes that way beyond that, and which I love. It's beyond, anything anybody could have done in foot patrol. The other is just the idea that exercise, you get endorphin release, and you feel good. So from the morale standpoint, as well as the physical fitness, it's a huge benefit. I love that part of it. And now my question was, because I was trying to remember if you said it, and I didn't hear it, so I'm going to ask if there was limitations on your capabilities during the winter.
The only limitations. So we can put different tires on the
Let me
the
give
bikes.
let me give the man with the budget the answer.
Yeah.
I would love to build this out. So I was following some guys on social media from Portland, Oregon. They ride year round. They have a fat tire bike for the winter. There was also a pretty famous guy locally in Schenectady year round, but this is their lifestyle. I would love to see us embrace some of that. It's getting comfortable. It's getting that level of fitness that you're working every day that way, and it's also capacity that the department can support it. But I would love to have a downtown beat that went year round outside with a bike. I mean, it sounds brutal, and again, it's like, hey, what'd you do? They took your car away. No, you have to ride a bike. It's almost that's not what it is, right? It's almost like it could. Well, I guess it could be. Yeah, get everybody certified, and then we punish them with the bike, right? Yeah, no. But I would, yeah. To your point, I think that the limitations are really on us. If what we're willing to invest in, and quite frankly, I think some of the fat tire bikes are probably cheaper than the other bikes that we're buying. But again, I just can't buy 30 bikes, but we'll get there.
So I would just like to offer, so Tim and Eric and RPD Commander in Chief, I'd like to commend you for thinking outside the box and bringing that program into RPD, because it really is a useful tool, thank you. As a young man growing up on the streets in Rutland, if the situations were different back when we were young kids and having police officers rolling up on bikes, we may have chose to do things differently as young people. So I commend you for your activities. Thank you.
So I would just like to acknowledge you, having been to several of the gatherings along Route 7, the protests, and having the bikers there, and how you were being on the bikes in terms of just giving people space, but keeping in the picture, riding closely when there seemed to be something going on, and then moving back outside onto the road or down and back, but always present and not interfering. And there were a lot of us folks who have been through protesting peace marches, major cities, where our experience of police departments was not kind. And I just think you've really pushed out into a way of being in the community that actually embraces the community. And thank you for that. And no more critical time than now. And it's comforting to know who you're being when we have ICE, not just in the gin and tonics, but in the periphery and coming into our state. So thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing.
You reminded me of a funny story. Oh, not story, this actually happens. So Stewart's Shops gives us different resources every year, and usually that's in the form of ice cream to give out. So on the back of my bike, for a number of years now, I have just like hundreds of ice cream stickers. So I was going down Baxter Street one time, and the kids start coming out because they know if they see me and they stop me, they're going to get an ice cream. So one of the kids says, "Here comes the ice cream man." So the question being asked for PEG TV was, do we have certain hours on the bikes? So I was probably on day shift at that point. So if I'm there at 10 p.m. still, we've got a problem, because I usually get off at 6. But yeah, I would take it out at 2 in the morning. It was great. I got stuck in the transit center one night because at 10 p.m. they closed the gates and the bike's not heavy enough to open the gates. So I had to call the station to have somebody come down, let me out of the transit center. But we can use them whenever. We have, I think, 10 people certified, 8, 10.
Yeah, we make it a point to be out there at all different times. We specifically don't want to be in the same spot at the same time. We make a targeted effort to not do that. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your engagement today. Thank you to the police department for sharing what this initiative looks like. It absolutely makes our community feel safer, and we're happy to continue to explore other ways in upcoming meetings. So please give Domino's a big shout out for all of the love and pizza that they provided us today. Take a slice and connect with one another out back. There's some resources on the table, and if you have resources, feel free to leave them, and we will see you next month. Thank you.